Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Looking for these better days.
It is Wednesday, August 19th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. We continue our 32 and 32 NFL team previews with the Detroit Lions. We will get the best bets for the BMW Championship as the FedEx Cup playoffs continue on the PGA Tour. And we will touch on some NFL preseason numbers, including an update to our preseason trench report. David Behrman joins me on this edition of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. And Behrman, we're going to get into the Detroit Lions here on this show. We have plenty of football to discuss. You and I recorded your pod yesterday for the NFC North preview. So we're in NFC North mode, or as Chris Berman used to say, the Norris division. We're all in. We're in NFC North mode right now.
I could do the entire podcast in the NFC North. It's one, the black and blue division. You got the Bears from Chicago, the Vikings from Minnesota, and then Dan Campbell. He's my guy. He's my guy. Dan Campbell, my guy. I'm going all day.
It's amazing. We love it. We miss it. And we'll pay tribute as we do the NFC Norris division here. It's interesting. We talked about, obviously, all four teams on your podcast. And the Lions feel like the class of the division, right? In a division where anybody can win. I think that's the general consensus. Based on the schedule, based on the talent, based on the bounce back and all that stuff, it feels like the Lions are the class of this NFC North division.
It does. It's not like it's ancient history. They ran away with they don't run away. They went 15 games and won the division 2 years ago, running away from everybody not named Minnesota. They've been the class of the division. And listen, last year they didn't go 4-13. They still won 9 games. They failed at the end of the year, had a poor end of season. They only finished 2 games out of first place. So technically, they were last. But all 4 teams won at least 9 games, and it's not a stretch. This wouldn't be your typical worst to first scenario that we see in the NFL. We saw it with the Patriots last year. We've seen it with the Texans a bunch of times. I really don't want to see the media label this as a worst to first thing when a team went from 9 wins to 11 wins and wins the division. They are the best team in the division. I think they got better in the offseason. And again, they didn't miss by much last year. They were in injury hell. Things didn't go their way. You had Chicago playing way above expectations. They shouldn't have won as many games as they won. And just the ball doesn't always bounce your way. They were 3-6 in one-score games, and that's all it takes sometimes. When you go 9-8 and you miss the playoffs in the NFL, the margin's not that high. You turn around and this team wins 14 games this year, no one's going to be surprised.
And I think that a lot of people, myself included, were down on the Lions last season because, when you lose both coordinators, there's going to be an adjustment. I feel like this is the year where maybe it comes together. And by the way, even last year after losing both coordinators in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, right, they were 7-4. To start, they had a chance to finish the season strong and make the postseason. Their win total right now posted at 10.5, slightly juiced to the over. They are the favorites to win the NFC North at plus 150. And then taking a look at the odds up on FanDuel right now to make the playoffs in the NFC, the Detroit Lions minus 205. I agree.
And
I agree they're a playoff team. Do I want to bet them to win the division or not?
I'm going to play the over 10.5 wins because, and you heard me last week on the show, I went on my little rant about don't call it a first place schedule or last place schedule. There's only 3-game difference between the two, so people overrate that. However, with my Stephen A impression, there are times where a last place schedule actually makes a difference. And in this case, the Lions, who technically finished last and are going to play the last place team from other divisions, that's Arizona, that's Tennessee, and that's the Giants, instead of Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Philly, which Chicago will play. So last week I did tell you there's not that much of a difference in terms of some divisions, but the way that the NFC North is set up and who they have to play, you're the Detroit Lions coming off a 9-win campaign, 1 year away from winning 15 games, and you get Arizona, Tennessee, and the Giants as your extra game. You play the AFC East which should be 3 wins because New England's at home. You do
Mm-hmm.
go to Buffalo early, but you got New England at home and you got the pathetic Dolphins and Jets. Chalk up 3 there. You play the NFC South. Should be 3 wins. Should be. So now you're looking at, I gave you the other 3 games. I gave you the 3 versus the AFC East. I gave you the 3 versus the NFC South. That's 9 wins, and we have not talked about division play yet.
Yeah.
You think they're going to win 2 games in the division? 3 games, probably 4, maybe
Yeah.
5. This is an over 10.5, and you're only going up 2 wins from last year. You mentioned the team was 7-4 early. They lost the Thanksgiving game. They still bounced back and beat Dallas the week after. They were 8-5 going into week 15, and then you failed. You lost to the Rams, the Steelers, the Vikings. Season over.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team is a lot closer to the 15-win team than they are the 9-win team.
Yeah, I agree. 11 feels like the right number for them. And that's all you need to cash in over 10.5. I'm not saying this. You're not betting this team has to win 12 or 13 games. And by the way, 11 wins likely wins this division. Like that's
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's where we're at. So if you like their over 10.5, I guess you like them plus 150 to win the NFC North as well. I was looking at the awards market, and this is something I wrote up on BetterDay.com when we did our Trench Report Strength of Schedule article, and then we also included like futures bets accordingly. But Jahmyr Gibbs to be the offensive player of the year. Now, look, he is the favorite. Up on FanDuel right now, Jahmyr Gibbs is plus 650 as the favorite to win the offensive player of the year. Bijan Robinson's the second favorite at plus 900. Jamar Chase, 10-1 after that. But you mentioned the schedule, and that's the biggest thing here. First off, there's no more David Montgomery to split time with. So you're getting all of the touches here for Jahmyr Gibbs. And then you look at the schedule, and it's not just those bad teams, but when you look at those bad teams in terms of the Trench Report up on BetterDay.com, it's the 3rd softest run defensive schedule of any team facing this season. Jahmyr Gibbs is poised to have a big year. He is the favorite for a reason. He's the one that I want to bet here in this market.
He had 1,900 total yards rushing and receiving and 20 touchdowns with David Montgomery splitting time with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns. You take David Montgomery's about 1,000 yards rushing and receiving and another 14 touchdowns. I'm not saying he's going to get it all because you have other guys on the team. Absolutely could have a monster year. He's not going to win MVP because no running back ever does, but he can put up numbers that will rival what Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor and some of those guys have done when they've won Offensive Player of the Year in years that we think they should win the MVP, which we know is a quarterback award. So I like the Offensive Player of the Year. There's a reason he's going 1.1 in a lot of fantasy drafts. I got my first one coming up in a few hours where I have the second pick in a 24-team Guillotine League, and I would love for Jahmyr Gibbs to be there, but I have a feeling I'm going Bijan Robinson, who has that awesome quarterback play in Atlanta to deal with. But Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely can win Offensive Player of the Year. He gets 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. It's his.
737 snaps last year to David Montgomery's 408. Which is really the breakout performance. The year before, 2024, Gibbs 691 snaps, Montgomery 407. So we're looking at a 2-year average of Montgomery of 400 snaps, right? I'm not saying Gibbs is going to get all 400 of those, but if we give him maybe another 150, he doesn't even have to get half of them. Like, give him 150 more snaps. We're talking about 900 snaps this season for Jahmyr Gibbs, and the numbers, as you mentioned, that he put up last year in 737 snaps, give him 150 more snaps this year, the production's going to be there. Yes, the rightful favorite for the Offensive Player of the Year award. So I feel like we're in pretty much lockstep when it comes to the Detroit Lions as the rightful favorites to win the NFC North at plus 150. We like the over on their win total, which is at 10.5. They're a playoff team. As we talked about up on FanDuel, their odds to make the playoffs are minus 205. Odds to win the Super Bowl up on FanDuel right now, they are plus 1,800. Now, David, I mentioned in the Trench Report how the Lions' opponents rank. Well, after 1 week of the preseason and a ton of injuries around the NFL, I have updated the preseason trench report up on betterday.com for Better Day Insider and premium members. Each and every week, the NFL trench report will be updated, and we're going to do this throughout the preseason as well to account for injuries, as well as like some rookie performances that maybe we didn't have grades for last year, right? And obviously, once we hit week one, the data completely changes, and that's the bulk of the stuff that we go under. But I want to read for you some of the what we have here in the trench report now in V2 of 2026. This is the preseason report. The Rams remain your number one team overall in the trench report. But because of injuries, we've had some teams take significant steps backwards. The Washington Commanders fall to number 30 in the trench report overall rankings. They lose Laramie Tunsil. All of a sudden, their pass blocking grade just falls. They went from one of the top pass blocking teams to now number 21 in pass blocking grade. The Green Bay Packers last season and heading into this preseason graded out, not great, but But Micah Parsons is not coming back until, October. And the grades that they have now, not good. Green Bay, the 32nd, dead last trench report team going into this preseason or after week one of the preseason. Cincinnati Bengals, the second worst, number 31. Rounding out the top of the list, Rams, I said, number 1. Eagles, number 2. Broncos, 3. Texans, 4. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 5 in the trenches.
Where are the Dolphins? Where do you
Dolphins in the trenches are Miami is number 28 overall.
Higher than I thought you had.
Well, they grade out well in, run defense. They are 8th best grade run defense in my metrics. 8th best run defense, but 29th in run blocking. And they are 30th in pass blocking. Oh, my goodness. So the offensive line is putrid, and they're 23rd
and you wonder why
in pass
Tua
rush.
Tagovailoa had as many concussions as he got.
Yes. So I think
we call the Dolphins offensive line a theme park turnstile.
That's exactly what it is. It's going to be fun looking at the trench report on a week in, week out basis, looking at the running props for running backs, the touchdown props, all that fun stuff. Your top run blocking teams in the NFL per the trench report after week one of the preseason: Rams, 49ers, Broncos, Colts, and Cowboys. That's right, Cowboys 5th in run blocking. They just can't pass protect. And then your worst rush defenses. So these are the teams we're going to pick on all year. Well, as of right now, Cardinals, dead last, followed by the Falcons, Chargers, Packers, and then, the Minnesota Vikings, a team that I'm actually very high on that you and I spoke about on your pod, the Betting with Behrman podcast, available wherever you get your pods from. All right, David, it is a Wednesday, which means tomorrow the PGA Tour is back with the continuation of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Let's get into round number 2 with the BMW Championship.
Baseball fans, think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Joining the action's easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And don't forget, you can make a free pick every day during MLB season. It's just another way FanDuel is home for home runs. So, are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com/believe. That's FanDuel.com/believe to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. 21 plus in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana.
Up on FanDuel right now, Scotty Scheffler, the favorite to win the BMW Championship, plus 300. And Rory McIlroy, the second favorite, plus 1,600. So we're back to Scotty odds. But I guess when you win the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs, David, by 8 strokes, you're back to seeing the odds be this short for Scotty Scheffler.
You are, and this, what he put together last week was exactly what we all expected earlier this season. You know, he won an early event and then finished runner-up 4 times, top 5 12 times. And we warned everybody it's going to happen at some point. And last week we gave it out on the show, top 5 at even money. You don't get even money often on Scotty Scheffler be the top 5. That was kind of our protection against Scotty not being able to finish running up against someone hotter than him, which has happened time and time again this year, Victor Hovland at the Travelers. And we cashed our top 5 ticket at even money. Of course, we left money on the table because he won the event at plus 5 to 1, which longer than they normally are. And like you said, now we're back to 250, 300. I'm going right back to the well with the Scotty Scheffler top 5. You can get it at minus 164 on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's a little bit more juice than it was last week, but this is a guy records a top 5 finish in 12 of 18 events this year, including 5 of his last 6. 2024 FedEx Cup champion, leads the tour in overall shots gained, tee to green, 4th in shots gained off the tee, 3rd in putting, 6th in approach. Here's the sick part, Scott. The way that this BMW championship course is set up in St. Louis, the course is a perfect fit for Scotty Scheffler. A perfect fit. Longer layout necessitates long iron shots, quality drives. There's a little bit of leeway out there with the driver. You got to get out there. It's a longer course. Dog legs, long irons, leads the tour in teens and regulation, and he's 14th in long approaches. If there was a course all season that would fit Scotty Scheffler, it would be this one, a week after he wins by 8 shots. So why not take him to win? Sure. It's only plus 280, 300. There's only 50 guys in the field. Scotty Scheffler probably wins this event. But there are 49 other guys. I'm taking him in the top 5. I still think, and I gave this out in the Betting with Behrman newsletter on Monday as an early pick. I normally don't do that on Mondays with golf, but I like the minus 164. I think that closes at closer to $2. Got him top 5. Probably wins it. Probably wins all 3 of these events. You got to find some betting value, and I'm just not taking plus 280 with 50 guys in the field.
You know, it's crazy. Like there was a bet that you can make like to win multiple events during the tournament, during the playoffs. Of course, Scotty Scheffler was the favorite, but
right.
I was looking at it thinking like, okay, do the odds make sense here? Now, mathematically, they clearly don't. Like you're better off just winning like 2 straight outrights. But if there was anybody that's going to win 2 events, it's Scotty Scheffler. And now he's already won the first one. I mean, we're thinking that he's going to win the whole thing, maybe. So that means we're giving him a second one. Could he sweep all 3? Could he sweep all 3 is the question.
Absolutely could sweep all 3. You would be better off betting them one after another.
Yep.
And here's the other scary part. Last week was his best putting round of his career. Scotty Scheffler, who's won 21 events, never putted better than he putted last week. So there's going to be a little bit regression. He's not going to have that good of a putting round again, but everything else was great. You add the putting in it, there's a reason why he won by 8 shots. So with that in mind, because I do think Scotty wins it, even though we're playing him top 5, I am going to give an outright, and I'm going to give an outright in a without Scotty market. Because if you think Scotty's going to win, there's only 50 players. You got to protect yourself on that end. And I like, and I've been on this bus all year long. People are going to think I have a man crush on him. I do. Siwoo Kim, who's 27 to 1 to win overall. He's 22 to 1 to win without Scotty, so you're losing a little value, but Scotty can go ahead and win the event, and Siwoo could finish second, which, by the way, happened last week. Scotty won, and Siwoo finished second. We talk about long irons. Best long iron player on the tour, 3rd in approach. 1st on tour from 150 to 175 yards. 2nd on tour from 175 to 200 yards. 6th in driving accuracy, gained nearly 2 shots on the field last week in approach, 3rd in the field. It always comes down to putting for Siwoo. He gained shots this week for the 3rd time in 4 weeks, so he's getting closer. I believe he wins that event last week if Scotty Scheffler wasn't Scotty Scheffler, because the one thing Siwoo was missing was the putter. He gained shots putting last week for the 3rd time in 4 weeks. Top 10 in all 3 of the events that he has finished in positive strokes gains putting. And he has 5 top 3s this year. What do they have in common? He gains strokes putting in all of them. So when he's putting well, he finishes in the top three. Protect ourselves from Scotty. 2150, 2200 without Scotty.
Is there a long shot bet that you would make here? I want to stay in the winner without market because I think that's actually like a great way to bet this. If we think Scotty's just got the overwhelming advantage, like, yes, you lose the value, but you don't have to worry about Scotty running away with it. So in the winner without market, you mentioned Siwoo Kim, who's actually down to 19-1 up on FanDuel. So celebrate your CLV there, David. But is there any long shot in that winner without market that you like? Let's go someone maybe 30-1 or beyond.
Yeah, I mean, this surprised me how long his odds were, but that's because he played terrible last week. But Colin Morikawa is another guy who fits this course. I know he's 37-1 with Scotty. Don't remember what is he without Scotty?
He is 27-1. So okay, let's file that under the long
27 to
shot.
1.
Okay.
Big disappointment last week. Why? Because he couldn't putt. He was great at the Travelers a few weeks ago, finishing third, 4 rounds in the 70s. Did better at the Open, hadn't played since then, so I'm going to call a little bit of rust last week with Morikawa, who hadn't played since he got back from the Open. You talk about good iron play. Overall, there's nobody better on tour than Colin Morikawa. First in approach, 17th in hitting greens, 16th from 175 to 200. Needs to make some putts. I mean, if you don't make putts, you're not going to win these events. Another guy, Kurt Kitayama, was 48-1 with Scotty. My guess he's going to be in the 38 to 40 range without Scotty.
Kurt Kitayama is... Where's Kurt Kitayama?
He's 48
he's
with
33-1 without Scotty.
33-1. I like Kurt Kitayama. He's your ultimate boomer bust guy. Like, every sport has a boomer bust guy.
Sure.
This guy has as many finishes inside the top 12 as he does outside the top 50. Last 2 weeks, 24th and 12th. His game fits the course, 10th in approach, 15th in long approaches. He's the perfect bubble golfer, Scott, because he's currently 28th in the standings. You need to be in the top 30 to make the Tour Championship. He needs a good week to move on. Kurt Kitayama either finishes top 5 or he finishes 50th. So I'm going to go with the long shot at 37-1.
I like it. It's fun. And we always quote the lines courtesy of FanDuel because this podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. But it's very important with golf betting that you do shop around because it's unlike any other sport where, if a book sets a line on a football game at -3 and some books are at -2.5, they might copycat and move to -3 because they like, they're looking at the sharp books lines and whatnot. Golf, it goes by the hold and the amount of action that they have. If somebody places a large wager at Circa on a specific golfer, their odds are going to shorten, and at the other books, they're not. So it's very important with golf betting that you do shop around to get the best of the numbers and take the longer shots at the other books.
And a perfect example was last week with our friends at FanDuel. I was on a different show with a different book earlier in the week, and I liked Hideki Matsuyama last week, and they quoted him at 24-1 on the show, and I had a 33-1 ticket at FanDuel. That's a big difference, 24 to 33. You normally don't see margins that big, but like you said, it came down to the hold, and the book that sponsored that show had more liability on Hideki, and I got him at 33-1 at FanDuel.
There you go. What do you got coming up this week on Betting with Behrman and BehrmanBets.com?
Well, as you know, you got Scott Seiderberg is from Better Day with the NFC North preview. We talked about Lions. He actually talked about all 4 teams, so that'll be dropping. It's taped. It'll be dropping on Thursday. Next week, Chris the Bear Felica, formerly of College Game Day, now of Fox Sports Big Noon Kickoff, will be joining the Betting with Behrman podcast to talk all things college football. That's next Thursday, the 27th. You're not going to want to miss that. Newsletter goes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. BehrmanBets.com. And just to pat myself on the back, I threw a couple of home run hitters in there on Monday and went 3-0. So had I decided to play all 3 together, it was a 52-1 parlay that would have hit in BehrmanBets.com. Every Wednesday, which I know today is Wednesday, we give out the future of the week, NFL or college football future. Have a portfolio we're building, so I have a feeling there may be an NFC North tint to it when you download the newsletter later today, but we'll have our future of the week in there as well.
Absolutely love it. More information at bearmanbets.com. Follow David on Twitter at David Bearman and listen to the Betting with Bearman podcast wherever you get your pods from. Also presented by FanDuel, part of the Believe Podcast Network. We will continue to do our 32 and 32 previews. We'll wrap up the NFC North tomorrow. AJ Hoffman will join us. Also talk about some college football futures. Also coming up tomorrow, as we do each and every Thursday, the Better Day Football Show, live streamed at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on the Better Day YouTube and Twitter page. Myself, Steve Fezzik, Joshua Nunn, and the theme for this week, we are going to talk about look-ahead spots. Now, what does that mean? I'm not just talking about in the schedule where teams are going to play a game that's a look-ahead spot for them. We're talking about betting look-ahead spots. For example, I have already placed a wager on a game that's late in the NFL season. Why? The line's posted now, and I think I'm getting the best of the line now compared to what it's going to be when that game rolls around. So we will talk about betting look-ahead spots coming up on tomorrow's live stream. For David Bearman, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.